Klaxons wailed as Austin Wells slammed his fist on the cryo chamber release, adrenaline surging through his veins. 800,000 years of icy slumber shattered in an instant. He stumbled out, body protesting, mind racing. "Captain Wells, we have arrived at Kepler 45P2b, AVA, the ship's AI announced. But an unknown vessel blocks our path. Alien origin, intentions unclear." Austin's heart hammered against his ribs. 1,000 humans, the last of their kind, were his responsibility. He yanked on his exoskeleton, servos whirring, pulse rifle, plasma pistol, grenades, tools of negotiation or war. The airlock hissed open. Austin stepped out, mag boots clanking, and froze. Before him towered a nightmare-made flesh. 7 feet of armored reptilian muscle. Ector, the creature called itself, an Elysian warrior. "Your ship, your technology. Hand them over," Ector growled, plasma blade glowing, energy cannon aimed. "This planet is ours now." Austin gritted his teeth. 800,000 years gone. Humanity slept while the aliens advanced. Now this. "So you want what's ours," Austin spat, "and come and take it." They squared off, 2 apex predators, old and new. The fate of humanity balanced on a blade's edge. Austin knew the odds, knew the stakes. It was win or die, for all of them. He raised his rifle, finger on the trigger, and prepared to make the aliens regret ever waking them up. A flash of light erupted in the sky, and a massive Elysian warship materialized above them, decloaking. Austin snapped his head up, eyes wide. Admiral Zoran, Ector's superior, commanded this vessel, a behemoth bristling with weapons. The warship's cannons swiveled, locking onto the UES Resilience. A barrage of plasma fire rained down, slamming into the human ship's hull. Metal screamed and buckled under the onslaught, systems shorting out, smoke billowing from gaping wounds. Austin staggered as the ground shook beneath his feet. He was outmatched and outnumbered. Staying would be suicide. He had to get back to the ship, had to save his people. He activated his exoskeleton's enhanced speed mode and launched himself towards the Resilience, dodging energy blasts that scorched the earth around him. Ector roared in fury, giving chase, but Austin's augmented agility kept him one step ahead. Austin leaped through the airlock, slamming his fist on the control panel. "Ava, initiate emergency protocols. Prepare for a blind jump, now." "Acknowledged, Captain," Ava responded, her voice distorted by static. "Calculating random coordinates." The Resilience's engines thrummed to life, jump drive powering up. But Ector's ship locked on with a tractor beam, the invisible force shuddering through the hull, dragging them back. "Oh, no, you don't," Austin growled. He raced to the engineering console, fingers flying over the controls, rerouting power, reversing polarity. The Resilience's shields flared, straining against the tractor beam. With a surge of energy, the tractor beam overloaded, releasing its hold. The Resilience shot forward, stars blurring as it leaped into the void. But the escape came at a cost. Alarms blared, red light painting the bridge. "Captain, life support and navigation are critically damaged," AVA reported, her avatar flickering. "We are adrift in unknown space." Austin slumped in his chair, adrenaline fading, reality sinking in. They were lost, wounded, hunted. Ector and the Elysians would not let this defiance stand. They would come for the human survivors, relentless and merciless. He had to find a way to repair the ship, to navigate to safety. Had to keep his people alive. Failure was not an option. Not with the fate of humanity resting on his shoulders. Sparks flew from damaged consoles as Austin and Dr. Ethan Reeves rushed to patch up the Resilience's battered systems. Wires hung loose, flickering lights casting an eerie glow on their sweat-drenched faces. Ethan's hands shook as he worked to stabilize a wounded crewman, blood staining his once pristine white coat. "We can't keep going like this, Austin," Ethan said, his voice strained. "We're running out of supplies and our people are dying." Austin gritted his teeth, focusing on rewiring a critical power relay. "We don't have a choice. We have to find help or we're all dead anyway." Ava's holographic form materialized beside them, her avatar glitching. "Captain, Sensors have detected a habitable planet in a nearby binary star system. Scans indicate the presence of advanced technology. Austin's heart raced. A chance, a slim hope. Prep a shuttle, we're going down there. He assembled a small team. Himself, Ethan, and two of his best security officers, Marcus Lee and David Kim. They boarded the shuttle, a sleek craft armed to the teeth, and launched into the void. As they approached the planet, a glint of metal caught Austin's eye. Elysian fighters screaming towards them, weapons hot. Leading the charge was a familiar figure, Hector, his ship bearing the scars of their last encounter. "Evasive maneuvers!" Austin yelled, wrenching the controls. The shuttle danced and spun, narrowly avoiding the hail of plasma fire. He returned fire, the shuttle's cannons roaring to life, scoring hits on the Elysian formation. But they were outmatched. A searing blast struck the shuttle's rear compartment, alarm screaming in protest. David's vital signs flatlined. With a snarl, Austin aimed the shuttle at the planet's surface, fighting against the failing engines. They hit the ground hard, metal screeching and tearing, the stench of burning wires filling the air. Austin kicked open the battered hatch, stumbling out into the harsh sunlight. Ethan and Marcus followed, nursing injuries, weapons at the ready. They were surrounded. Elysian soldiers, heavily armed and armored, formed a tight circle around the crash site. And there, standing at their head, was Hector. He strode forward, his battle armor still bearing the marks of their last fight. "You have nowhere to run, Captain," Hector said, his voice dripping with disdain. "This planet is a secret Elysian military outpost. You've stumbled right into our clutches." Austin's grip tightened on his rifle, mind racing. They were trapped, outnumbered, outgunned. He had to think of his crew, of the 1,000 lives depending on him. With a bitter taste in his mouth, he lowered his weapon. "We surrender," he said, the words like ash on his tongue, "but I want your word that my people will be treated fairly." Hector's laugh was cold and harsh. "You're in no position to make demands, human, but I will enjoy breaking you slowly and thoroughly." As the Elysian soldiers moved in, binding their hands and confiscating their weapons, Austin caught Ethan's eye. A silent message passed between them. They would bide their time, gather intel, and find a way to escape this prison. For the sake of the resilience, for the sake of humanity, they had to endure, had to survive, no matter the cost. Austin, Ethan, and Marcus were roughly shoved through the winding corridors of the Elysian military outpost, their hands bound behind their backs with energy cuffs that bit into their skin. The sleek, angular architecture towered above them, the walls pulsing with the eerie blue glow of advanced technology. Holographic displays flickered with alien script, and the air hummed with the energy of powerful machines. The Elysian soldiers, clad in their dark, form-fitting armor, marched them into a cavernous chamber. At its center stood General Zeph, his reptilian features twisted into a sneer of disdain, his eyes, cold and calculating, fixed upon the human captives. "So these are the remnants of humanity," Zeph hissed, his voice dripping with contempt. "Pathetic." Austin met Zeph's gaze with defiance, his jaw set. "We're not here to play games, Zeph. What do you want from us?" Zeph's hand shot out, his claws digging into Austin's throat. "You will address me as General Human Filth, and what I want is simple, the location of your ship and the rest of your kind." Austin remained silent, even as Zeph's grip tightened, cutting off his air. Ethan and Marcus, bruised and battered, stood firm beside him. Zeph released Austin with a snarl, turning to Hector. "Execute the tall one. Show them the price of defiance." Hector stepped forward, his plasma blade flaring to life with a menacing hum. In one swift, brutal motion, he swung the blade, severing Marcus's head from his shoulders. The head hit the floor with a sickening thud, rolling to a stop at Austin's feet. Ethan let out a strangled cry, his knees buckling. Austin felt bile rise in his throat, rage and grief warring within him. Zeph turned back to Austin, his eyes glinting with malice. "I will ask again, where is your ship?" Ethan, his face pale and streaked with tears, broke. "The Resilience is adrift in the Zeta Reticuli system. In Sector 8. Please, no more killing." Zeph smiled, a cold, predatory thing. Good. Hector, prepare a strike team. We will capture their ship and the rest of their pathetic crew. As Hector turned to leave, Austin saw his chance. With a burst of strength born of desperation, he lunged at the nearest guard, slamming his head into the Elysian's face. The guard stumbled back, and Austin seized his weapon, a sleek plasma rifle. Austin fired, the bolts of energy searing through the air, dropping 2 more guards. He sprinted for the door, adrenaline pumping through his veins. Alarms blared as Austin raced through the outpost, his stolen rifle blazing. He ducked into a side corridor, finding himself in the armory. Rows of advanced Elysian weapons gleamed before him. Austin grabbed a plasma shotgun and a bandolier of grenades, then spotted the communications console. His fingers flew over the controls, sending a burst transmission to the Resilience. "Ava, Hector is coming. You have to jump now." Confirmation received. Austin turned his attention to the outpost's defenses. He had to buy his crew time, had to give them a chance to escape. With grim resolve, Austin readied his weapons and stepped back out into the fray. Hector and the Elysians would not take his ship, would not slaughter his crew, not while he still drew breath. The corridor erupted into chaos as Austin charged forward, plasma shotgun roaring. Elysian soldiers fell before him, their armor no match for the point-blank blasts. Austin moved with deadly precision, years of training guiding his every step. He had to find Ethan, had to free him before it was too late. Austin kicked open a door, revealing a startled Elysian technician. A quick blast from the shotgun, and the room was secure. Austin scanned the outpost schematics, locating the detention cells. Ethan would be there, guarded and alone. Austin set his jaw and moved out, determination burning in his chest. The Elysians would pay for what they had done, for the lives they had taken, and Austin would be the one to make them pay, even if it cost him everything. Austin surged through the Elysian outpost, plasma shotgun roaring, leaving a trail of fallen soldiers in his wake. Alarms blared, red lights flashing, but he pushed on, driven by a fierce determination to save Ethan and the Resilience. He reached the detention cells, blasting the lock with a well-placed shot. The door slid open, revealing Ethan, battered but alive. "Austin, you came back for me," Ethan croaked, his voice raw. "Always," Austin replied, tossing him a spare plasma pistol. "Now let's make these bastards pay." Together, they fought their way to the outpost's reactor core, planting explosives at key structural points. The charges set, they raced for the hangar bay, their path a gauntlet of plasma fire and snarling Elysian warriors. In the hangar, a figure stepped from the shadows. Hector, his battle armor gleaming, his energy cannon leveled at Austin's chest. "You've caused me enough trouble, human," he growled. Austin met Hector's gaze, unflinching. "Bring it on, you scaly son of a bitch." They clashed in a whirlwind of strikes and counterstrikes, Austin's combat skills pitted against Hector's raw strength. Plasma blades crackled, armor dented and buckled under the onslaught. Austin ducked under a vicious slash, ramming his fist into Hector's chest plate. The armor cracked, sparks flying. Hector roared in pain and rage, his cannon swinging to bear. In a desperate gambit, Austin lunged inside Hector's guard, jamming his plasma shotgun against the weakened chest plate. He pulled the trigger, the blast tearing through the armor, into the vulnerable flesh beneath. Hector staggered back, his armor smoking, blood seeping from the rents. With a hiss of escaping gas, he ejected from the ruined battlesuit, the exoskeleton exploding moments later. Shrapnel peppered the hangar, a jagged shard tearing through Ethan's suit into his side. He collapsed, blood pooling beneath him. "Ethan!" Austin screamed, rushing to his friend's side. He scooped Ethan up, carrying him to a sleek Elysian fighter. Plasma bolts sizzled past as he leaped into the cockpit, firing up the engines. The fighter blasted out of the hangar, the shockwave sending Hector tumbling. Seconds later, the explosives detonated, the outpost vanishing in a blinding flash of light and debris. Hector picked himself up, his eyes narrowing as he watched the fighter disappear into the sky. "This isn't over, human," he snarled. I will hunt you to the ends of the universe." Austin pushed the fighter to its limits, racing back to the Resilience's last known position. His heart sank as he saw the once mighty ship, now a battered hulk, drifting in the void. He docked with the Resilience, rushing to the bridge with Ethan in his arms. The sight that greeted him was one of devastation. Consoles smashed, bodies strewn across the deck. More than half the crew, gone. And Ava, the AI that had been their constant companion, now just a flickering, broken hologram. Ethan coughed weakly, blood flecking his lips. "Austin, I'm not going to make it," he whispered. "You have to lead them now." Austin shook his head, tears stinging his eyes. "I can't do this without you, Ethan. I need you." But Ethan's eyes were already glazing over, his breath rattling in his chest. He squeezed Austin's hand one last time, then went still. Austin bowed his head, grief and rage warring within him. He gently laid Ethan's body down, then turned to face the surviving crew members, their faces etched with shock and despair. "We've suffered heavy losses," Austin said, his voice raw with emotion. "But we're not done yet. We're the last of humanity, and I'll be damned if I let the Elysians wipe us out." He strode to the navigation console, his fingers flying over the controls. "There's a habitable planet not far from here. We'll set down, make repairs, and plan our next move." The Resilience shuddered as its engines came to life, the ship limping through the stars like a wounded beast. Austin stared out at the endless expanse, the weight of command heavy on his shoulders. They were battered, broken but not beaten. As long as even one human drew breath, they would fight on, for their fallen comrades, for the future of their species. The last remnants of humanity, adrift in a hostile universe, their fate resting in the hands of one man, Austin Wells, the last captain of the UES Resilience. You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, and for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.